Welcome back, everybody. Dicko Mole Magic Round is finally upon us. Geez, what a weekend of footy, and what a weekend of footy coming up.
Can't wait, mate. It's going to be great.
Yeah, guys, so long as the bunker minds its own business and keeps its nose out of it, we should have 8 ripping games.
Jeez,
Yeah.
we're 20 seconds in and already talking about the bunker. Jesus.
Well, after setting a world record last weekend, I think they've finally read the room, the NRL. I put up a poll on my Facebook, and is the bunker overplaying its hand? Is the game becoming too soft? 90% of fans said yes. So, I think the message is just overwhelming. They've got to stop this stupidity. And Andrew Abdo did the rounds last night. He was that concerned. He went on both TV networks.
Yeah, watch that. Yep.
And said to them both that the bunker's going to pull its head in. So let's see if he's good to his word.
Well, Joey Johns sprayed them on the Sunday footy show.
Joey was so pissed off. Apparently, he walked out of the last 20 minutes of the game on Sunday night. So that just shows you how bad things have become.
Well, let's just keep the bunker out of the general play and just only ruling on serious foul play. Simple as that. It's as simple as that. Just serious foul play. Otherwise, stay out of the game. Yeah, and tries. And otherwise, stay out of the game. If it's missed by the referee and the touch judge on the field, if there's a high shot that's a graze or whatever, just stay out of it. Let the referee, if they miss it, well, then let the match review deal with it. It's simple as that.
Yeah. And when the high shots are accidental, which 90% of them are, the guy falling into a shoulder rather than a guy leading with his shoulder, play on.
Yeah,
I mean,
to apply itself at some point.
We're going to Magic Round, and the last thing you want is people paying for tickets and the best players not on the field, or teams down to 12 and sometimes even 11. It's just going to ruin the whole spectacle of the game, and then people aren't going to turn up. It's become a joke, really. We're letting massive incidents like the Tupanua knee to the head, right? I actually thought he should have been sent off, personally. He got nothing, and then Montoya stands there and Piakura turns into him, accidentally cops him high, he gets 10 in the bin. So
he got sent off because of Tupanua's.
That's what I mean. They keep interrupting. Yeah, they keep interrupting in general play. This is what will happen, the inconsistency. So just stay out of it, rule on the serious stuff, and let's get on with it.
That's it. Speaking of getting on with it, let's get stuck into Magic Round. Sharks versus Eels, first game, Friday night. Eels are coming off a bye. Sharks, very disappointing loss to the Tigers. But, geez, the Tigers played well, didn't they?
They did.
They deserved it.
Yep. The Leichhardt factor, you can't underestimate it. Those fans got them over the line, particularly in Golden Point. And I'm still not convinced. I've seen an angle that not many people have seen of that alleged strip, and I'm pretty sure he dropped it, the Tigers bloke. So look around, Google it, and if you can find that angle, I think you'll agree with me. So the penalty might have been a bit harsh. I think that's one where the bunker should have had a look at it because it decided the game.
I mean, I must admit, they don't generally award penalties in Golden Point, the referees. So I think it's a massive call. I only saw it once. I thought it was borderline at best. So I was very surprised that they actually ruled the penalty. But more to your point on the Sharks, Dizz.
Oh, look, I was really excited temporarily, very temporarily. I mean, a couple of seconds for Nicho Hynes, thinking he was going to bang that field goal over from 50. And I think that would have completely, reinvigorated that man and the Sharks completely. But
where are we on the Sharks, Molly? Where are you on the Sharks?
Yeah, they're a strange team, aren't they? They're frustrating in that they can beat anyone. They almost beat Penrith in Vegas. They put up a really good showing there.
That's not hard, mate.
And they've had a couple of good wins and a couple of bad losses. So they're sort of all over the shop, aren't they? They can't seem to decide whether Trindle or Nico's going to be the playmaker. Some weeks Trindle takes over and it works well. Some weeks neither one of them steps up and it's a disaster, as was the case the other day at Leichhardt.
Well, the inconsistency is why I give them no shot at winning the comp, because they're not beating teams they should put away. Like, they should put away the Tigers. Let's face it. The Tigers shouldn't be winning that game against the Sharks, who had been touted as sort of premiership, one of the favourites, right? And on paper, as you said, have got a great team. So I just can't get a read on them. I don't know. You said it. What are they doing? Nico Hines, Trindle, I think Will Kennedy may be in the form of his life.
Yeah.
But
playing unbelievably. He's in the top 3 fullbacks in the game at the moment on form.
I completely agree with you. You know, Atkinson's leaving, but where does he fit in? Should he be given more of a go? I don't know. Like, Blake Brayley, is he the answer at 9? I don't. You need more creativity out of your 9. I don't know. Their forwards match it with anyone, and their outside backs are class, but it's just not happening. I just don't. I can't.
And now
get a read on them.
Wilton's injured, so Billy Burns comes in, and Hirotti's now injured. They might get Eero back. Yeah, I don't know. Can you see him? Are they going to beat the Eels? I mean, that's the biggest question, that we're looking at right now.
Well, Moses may be the most important player in the competition for a team. Like, the Eels are a completely different team with Mitch Moses. You'd almost have to say that if he stays fit, they give themselves a chance to get in the 8, the Eels, to be honest.
Yeah. I think they've got a dead set sniff this weekend.
The Eels, absolutely. Yeah. They're outsiders, according to Sportsbet, but I give them a real shot this week. I don't know.
Would you be tipping them, though?
I got the Tigers last week, remember?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You did.
Don't know. Come back to me in about 2 minutes after the Mole gives me his thoughts.
Yeah, I think Sharks should win and should win well. Moses will be a factor. I can see a high-scoring game. Moses will put points on for Parra. Cronulla's got plenty of points in them. As we said, Kennedy, Mulatalo, that try scored last week. I mean, he's good for a try every week. Ronaldo. Jesse Ramian is, a real force in the centres. They got class all over the park, Sharks, so they should win, and I'm expecting them to win by 10 to 15 at least.
Oh, yeah, it's interesting with teams coming off the bye too. They either sort of play themselves out of form, like we've seen with some of the sides, like Newcastle, as an example, win their first 2 games, hit the bye, and then, arguably probably couldn't beat New South Wales Cup sides at the moment.
Well, they're just a bit slow off the mark after coming off the bye. This is the first game. I mean, this is the first game of Magic Round, so this should be an absolute cracker. Both teams should be up for it.
I reckon we get the ball rolling and say Golden Point first game. Give it to the Sharks.
Well, the Moleys tipped him by the length of the Flemington Straight, the Sharks. So, and you're going Golden Point. So I'm gonna fall somewhere in between that. I will tip the Sharks.
What, 1 to 12?
1 to 12. Simple.
1 to 12.
Nice and easy.
All
conservative.
Right. Next game is an absolute cracker as well. Roosters, Dolphins. Wow. Talk about the performances of both of these sides last week. Roosters very dominant in the Anzac Day clash against the St. George Illawarra Dragons. And then Dolphins, talk about a game of 2 halves. Absolutely on fire against Canberra, 28-10 up, and then completely shit the bed and not score a point in the second half. How do we see this one playing out, guys? Molly, are you still bullish on the Dolphins' chances in this match, or is this heading towards the Roosters, back to back?
Yeah, it could be the toughest game of the round, and maybe we go Golden Point this one too. Because,
why not?
We'll be there till midnight.
There's not much between them, but the Dolphins probably the hardest team to read in the comp, aren't they? They can beat anyone, and they can lose to anyone. They got some injuries, but if Katoa plays to form, the Hammer, he's good for at least 1 try, particularly at Suncorp. He seems to score 2 or 3 every time he plays there. So Herbie's good for a try. Another high-scoring game, as I said, particularly with Sandon Smith really coming of age last week. Like that was a great performance by him. He'll go in with his confidence sky high. I like the Dolphins up there. If it was down here, I'd probably go Roosters. So Dolphins in a close one.
Well, this is interesting because both teams are probably better than 13th and 12th on the ladder at the moment, I reckon. But they're still probably too inconsistent to really sort of nudge the top teams, even though the Roosters have beaten well, I can't say the Panthers are a top team anymore, can I? They're dead last. So, yeah. So this is sort of hard. You might be right, Molly. This could be the game of the round, I reckon. In terms of, I reckon there's plenty of points in this. Both teams like to throw the footy around. Both got plenty of strike. Battle of the fullbacks, Tedesco versus the Hammer. The Dolphins, it's an away game, although it's at Suncorp. They do get their supporter base is excellent. I went to the Dolphins Broncos game earlier this year, and it was outstanding. The atmosphere the Dolphins supporters gave them. There's plenty of them. So I'm a bit like Moley here. I didn't like the Dolphins' second half, but I thought they were excellent first half last week against Canberra in Canberra. I don't know what happened in the second half, and I thought the Roosters were good, but I really thought the Dragons were crap on Anzac Day. So I'm a bit like Moley here. If it was probably in Sydney, I'd go the Roosters, but because it's at Suncorp, I reckon the Dolphins will win this, and I don't know. I reckon they could win this. I reckon they could run away with it at the end, although it'll be close for most of the game.
Yeah, you're right there with the Dragons being crap.
They were
I don't know if the Roosters were amazing. I mean, Sandon Smith had the game of his life. I've been bagging him a fair bit this season, saying he needs to step up and probably cost the Roosters a few games, throwing, I think, maybe 3 or 4 intercepts already this season. But, really, come of age in that last performance on Anzac Day. I'm in the same boat, guys. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think this could be, a 34-28 scoreline. I remember last year, I think the Sharks played the Roosters in a shootout. And quite frankly, I'll just come out and say it. I reckon the Roosters travelling fans are a joke. I don't know how many people are going to show up at Magic Round, Roosters fan-wise. They're probably still stuck in Bondi. And as a result, I'm going to tip the home team in the Dolphins to get the job done.
So I do know the Dolphins this week have Max Plath and Kurt Donahue both have been ruled out early for this round.
JMK's back, I think.
So that will obviously, we'll know more this afternoon when the teams are actually officially announced. But word is that those two are out, and Jeremy Marshall King is a chance.
Good player, Marshall King too. He makes a difference when he's there.
Yeah, big time. So, Saturday's games. Now, before we do, just a massive shout out to our sponsors, Create, Grip Socks, Energy Pro, and High Caliber Racing. Thank you for everything you do for us, guys. Here's to an awesome Magic Round and an even bigger 2026 next season. Rabbitohs 9. Very interesting one here. I'm gonna go first here, guys. Knights, lock them in. Upset, let's go. Knights to get the job done. Get the monkey off the back.
What are they going to win, 6-0?
They get the job done 16-10.
HIA for you. Who's going to score the points?
That's it.
Well, I asked the same question about the Rabbitohs.
I don't know here, Molly. The Knights are very unimpressive. The Rabbitohs have got that many injuries. It's not funny. What's sort of your take on this?
My take is I don't know who's going to win, but I'm taking unders because neither team can score.
What do you think of the Rabbitohs? Are you still pretty bullish on them? Are they sort of hit a wall now, or?
Yeah, they're up and down, aren't they? And Latrell's going to be missing. Jai Gray will be back at fullback where he should be. But yeah, they're starting to run thin on troops. Every bloke they put in at halfback seems to get hurt. I don't know if the Pommy's the answer. He's shown nothing so far. So I can see plenty of reasons why neither team can win. Extra time, golden point again.
Well, we could have a round of golden points.
Is that in Rabbitohs' favour or Knights' favour, Molly?
A draw after full time, as in after golden point.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's no one capable of kicking a field goal.
Jai Gray was in. Jai Gray didn't train yesterday, so do we think he's going to play? Like, I know he struggled through the game there towards the end last week for the Rabbitohs. He didn't train. Latrell did train at fullback. I know he's suspended. What do we think of that Latrell suspension?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because he hit him very low, but he also came in very hard. So Yeah, it's a grey area. I don't know. I think if it wasn't Latrell and he didn't have the record he's got, let's not forget he holds the world record for most sin bins now. He's jumped ahead of Victor. So
Has he really?
But I think Victor might square accounts this weekend if the bunker keeps things up. But yeah, it's a really hard one.
So I've got a question for both of you here. So I want to know the difference between the Latrell Mitchell tackle and sin bin on Farlongo and the Isaiah Yeo tackle and non-sin bin on Tom Trbojevic. Now, talk me through your thoughts on those two incidences.
I have no answers.
I got nothing.
I just can't pick the bunker, the match review committee. There are hits. I see. Gee, that's a bad one. You mentioned it a while ago, Tupanua, how he wasn't sent off and suspended. He didn't just kick him in the head once; he kicked him in the head twice. So yeah, it's just bizarre.
He wasn't even sent to the bin for that, was he?
No. So is the Latrell one? Is that because it's Latrell?
Well, I think it's definitely part of it. I mean, they do say that your history comes into it when it comes to loading and all this sort of thing. And so, yeah, I think for sure if that was a Nif Nuff who did it, he probably would have got 10 minutes and that would have been the end of it.
Because if I just look at those two incidents in isolation, right? One was sin bin and one wasn't. Now, you got the nicest man in rugby league defending potentially Isaiah Yeo, right? And you got Latrell, who's controversial at times, plays really hard, Latrell, really physical. I don't believe either of them necessarily should have been sin bin. I thought there was mitigating factors in both of the players slipped. But the Latrell sin binning, the explanation by the referee was direct forceful contact to the head on Farlongo. And he actually was HIA'd and didn't come back. So he failed his head injury, right? Now, Tom Trbojevic, correct me if I'm wrong, that incident on a high tackle caused a blood nose. Am I right in saying that? He broke his nose, okay.
Yeah.
Or blood nose. So is that not direct forceful contact to the head?
Yeah, it's
Maybe
a weird
got
one.
A soft nose.
I think the question is more so, and I think I touched on it last week. I think the NRL need to take a leaf out of the AFL's book. And unless it is blatantly a send-off, it's potentially no sin bins at all because the 6 agains are enough in terms of penalties and whatnot. Let the match review committee deal with it after the game because would you say that Isaiah Yeo deserved to be suspended for that? Probably not.
No.
Did
should he have gone to
Latrell,
this? No. So neither of them should have been suspended. But I think if you're going to send one to the bin, both had to have gone to the bin.
Yeah. Or you just scrap the bin altogether and let the match review committee deal with it later.
Yeah, so if you don't bin them, then they probably match review, they get charged. They maybe get a week. But what we've got now is we've got a big draw card in Latrell. A lot of people come to the footy to watch Latrell. Yeah. And he's not playing in the round that we probably want him in because of what I thought was an accident.
Might help the Knights get over 10 points.
Well, it might. The Knights are a basket case, mate. They got to do something seriously. Who
are you locking in, Dicko?
I'm tipping the Rabbitohs in this. I cannot tip the Knights with any confidence at all.
Well, I don't know if someone's winding me up, but I've just had a message through saying keep an eye out for Ponga because he's got something wrong with his face. So I don't know if that's a wind up or not, but stay tuned for that one if it's not. It might have a bit of a sniffle. Dear oh dear.
I noticed the Knights fans are starting to turn on Ponga. There was a podcast up in Newcastle where they were very critical, and you wouldn't have seen that 6 months ago. So
how much is on the coach and how much is on the players?
Well, that's always the question, isn't it? I think some of the coaches' selections, he seems to be playing, shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic with his halves every week, doesn't he? And the guy who probably should be there, the best organiser, Jackson Hastings, is clearly off for the group, according to the coach, and can't get a start. Maybe I think they're that desperate that they might throw him in tonight. Be very interesting, the selections this week. I don't think Gamble's the answer. I think we're all agreed on that.
Yeah. Well, you watch. I reckon he'll put Gamble straight back in and get rid of Cogger. He's got a problem, as in the coach.
Yeah.
And the problem is his inability to pick the correct side.
The Knights need to put the big boy pants on, like the West Tigers did this week. And after dropping Galvin, they pick him again. They put the big boy pants on, and look what happened. So they need to do that with Jackson Hastings. He's the best halfback at the club. You're paying him, what, 800,000 a year to play. He's contracted. If you can't put him out the door, stick him in the team. Whether you like him or not, and it's the same with the Tigers. Whether you like blokes or not, when you get on the field, that's all forgotten. You want to win.
Yeah, I agree.
So he needs to put his big boy pants on and put him in.
He's tried everything else. It hasn't worked. So
that's right. I mean, nothing. It can't get any worse than what it is, right? It cannot get any worse than what it is.
Yeah, I do agree with starting Brayley and having Crossland come off the bench. I did like that selection.
Crossland's an impact player. Yeah.
Well, Crossland can cover multiple positions as well.
Yeah.
So you need that player on the bench.
Yeah. To be fair, he covers them all averagely. I think he's just a player.
You said it. I am in total agreement with you, Molly. That might have been one of the best things you've said on it.
Dizz hasn't rated for Crossland for about 2 years. So.
I can't handle him. He needs to get a haircut. Warriors versus Cowboys. Now, guys, I tell you who will be in full force at Magic Round. Both of these supporter bases.
Yeah. Big supporter bases.
Last year, Penrith famously lost to the Warriors. And I have a funny feeling that this one could be another Golden Point game because this is an absolute cracker. Honestly, Warriors versus Cowboys. How do you pick this one?
This should be. I mean, I said the Roosters and the Dolphins could have been match of the round, but I mean, this one here, it's 4th versus 6th. The Cowboys have come from the clouds to be in the 8.
Like Todd Payton was halfway out the door, and now all of a sudden he's.
And he was hanging on to the doorknob. He was hanging on to the doorknob, mate. But the Warriors, they're achieving just silently in the background, aren't they? They're just going about their business very quietly. I'm not taking. I'm not taking much notice of them in terms. I know they had a good performance when obviously the Broncos, and I watched that. But apart from that, they're just getting the job done week after week. And the Cowboys, I thought they were just electric last week. They put the Titans to the absolute sword. And the Titans, we will get to them because they were a basket case and are a basket case. But yeah, this one here, I think the Warriors and the Cowboys, I don't know, Molly, what do you think? I can't come. I want to hear what you say before I lock a tip in. I can't pick them at the moment.
Golden Point for sure. No, I really struggle with this one too. The Warriors are going well. You guys are right. But travel has always been a bit of an issue for them. It's one of their longer trips. I saw them in Vegas, which was the longest trip, and they were just awful. So, yeah, I don't know.
How are they going with getting back CNK, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, Fisher Harrison, these guys?
I think the only chance is maybe Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, but I still think he's a couple of weeks away as well.
Okay, so
yeah,
they're pretty much
can't see them having too many back. We'll know when the teams are picked, but on form, probably Cowboys. Tom Dearden's just playing out of his butt. He's going great. Drinkwater's always a threat. Reece Robson's fighting for that Blues jumper. I'm not a huge fan of his, but I thought that was one of his best games on the weekend. Scored a good solo try and got him going forward. And Nanai's always worth a few points. So, I think the Cowboys. Not with a lot of confidence, though.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I'm a bit like you now, Mole, in terms of the Warriors. Maybe the travel. And on that basis. And purely, this is just on that basis. I'm going to tip the Cowboys. It wouldn't surprise me whether this is. I'm not going to say Golden Point, but I think it'll go down the last 10, and I think the Cowboys just will get this done. And I'll tell you what, Jackson Purdue, he's a bit of a boulder for Queensland in Origin.
Yeah, 6 tries in 6 games, and he's a halfback playing in the centres. He's doing great.
And geez, he's quick. He is very quick.
Yeah.
So he's a bolter. I don't necessarily have him. I definitely think he could be carried in the squad just to get a bit of feel for it this series. I don't know whether he'll play, but he's definitely one to watch. I heard this morning on radio, actually, with the Perth Bears or the WA Bears or whatever they're going to be called coming in 27, he was one of the names tossed up. So as a bit of a marquee signing. So
yeah, well, any of these
it's a
players that are sort
must-watch.
of hanging around for an opportunity that sort of, their salary's a little bit flying under the radar, and
I'll tell you whose contract does match up to that Perth Bears, Moley, is Jerome Hughes. And they were
throw an
talking
extra
this
couple of $100,000 and away you go.
well, they were talking about Jerome Hughes potentially being the first $2 million player.
Wow.
Yeah. If I was the Bears, I would do it. I think he is the best halfback in the game at the moment. Cleary has obviously been injured and been struggling in a team that's going backwards. Whereas Jerome Hughes, he's one of the main reasons Melbourne are Melbourne. He just gets the job done every week, combines well with Munster, puts up kicks for his wingers and they score tries every week. He's just a complete footballer. I'd make him my first signing, my captain, make him coach too.
Well, just on that, just before we get to the next game, are we sort of happy with where the NRL's gone and bringing the team to Perth or to Western Australia? Are we happy with that? What do we think on that?
Yeah,
I like it. My only shall we say gripe about it is there's talk one game at North Sydney Oval. I think the old Bears fans deserve better than that. I'd give them 2 or 3. That still leaves how many games in Perth? Plenty. And it'll give the Bears fans who've hung in there and who've lost their team and done it tough in recent years some reward.
So I read this morning that North Sydney has 3,000 registered juniors and Western Australia have 6,000 registered rugby league players. So that I think is a pretty good start. And definitely, and I think definitely Western Australia is the place to go. I didn't like Darwin or I didn't like a second New Zealand team at the moment. I just thought the Warriors need to keep sort of building on where they've been the last few years before we go a second New Zealand side, if that was the way we to go. I don't like a Pacifica side either, but I definitely think a Western Australia team, it just opens up another time slot and a really good time slot for viewing both over there and here in terms of the broadcast rights. I think the figure that Volandis is chasing is about $2 billion for this next deal, so the more
gets a chance to tap into the rugby union from South Africa.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And another thing there, so I definitely think it's a step in the right direction for the NRL because we've got to even the comp back up. We need to reduce buys. I don't like the amount of buys that we have. And I want to see more consistent footy without buys, especially over Origin. I really don't like the Origin period, how 3 or 4 teams have buys. I don't like that.
It might actually make sense to take Origin to Perth for a change now too.
True.
Yeah. We call ourselves the National Rugby League. I mean, let's be fair. It's not a National Rugby League. It's an East Coast Rugby League. And I think one of the biggest mistakes they ever made was they got their foothold in Perth in the 90s and then they pulled out. And, I think people over there have been dirty on the NRL. And I think it was a massive mistake. They were getting good crowds. They almost made the finals first year. So if they do things right, they could be a real force. I've been there a few times when they've taken games over there. There's a lot of Kiwis over there, so that gives you a base to start with, and a lot of people from the East Coast have moved over there. So you've got your fan base, you've got your young families who are going to produce players. So I think
if they're already passionate about AFL as well, like sporting fans are sporting fans. They're gonna get right behind it.
Well, do we have? I mean, the last sort of piece of this puzzle is what 60. There'll be 60 contracted players across the new Perth franchise and the new PNG franchise. Do we have the depth in the country? Do we have the depth at that top level elite rugby league? Are we going to dilute it too much?
But you look at the number of good young players that come from nowhere every year. The Jackson Purdues, you mentioned him a minute ago. I mean, no one would have heard of him 12 months ago, and now he's being talked about as a marquee player. There's good kids coming through all the time. This young halfback at St George, who's going to replace Lachlan Ilias, he's going to be a good player. Sandon Smith, all of a sudden, is almost a marquee halfback. I'd be very surprised if the two new franchises don't chase him, given that the Roosters have got halves. So, I can't go along with that argument. I think they're just players coming along all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I like that.
Let's so Cowboys for both of us. Is that what the verdict was in the end? Cowboys against Warriors.
Cowboys.
Yes, Cowboys. Thank you.
Warriors for me.
Righto. Next game, Molly. We've got the Tigers and the Dragons Saturday night. What are we thinking?
Golden Point.
Are you just going a whole round of Golden Point here, Molly?
Well, you keep throwing me games that I can't answer. Who can win that game? Tigers are fair on their day and awful on their day, and Dragons are just awful most weeks. So, yeah.
Well, my fear with the Tigers is it took a lot out of them last week getting over the line in that Golden Point game. It's a shorter turnaround. They don't get the full week. They've got to travel as well, so you lose a day of training with the travel. The Dragons were, I don't even know, they were. You can't turn up on a really important day and dish what they dished up to a team that really they should have beaten. Let's face it, they're a better team than the Roosters on paper, and I really feel for Lockie Ilias. I feel like he's just thrown under the bus all the time. I don't know whether dropping him is the answer. I could have picked 4 or 5 players that probably should be dropped more than him, but unfortunately, it probably does fall with the halfback. Api Coruscant got a knock late in that Tigers game against.
Yeah, he's in doubt, Appy.
Is he in doubt? Is he? So that's.
But then Talon De Silva just kills it. He's a great little player.
Yeah. So on no basis at all, I'm going to go the Dragons.
I think a lot of it will come down to this young halfback who's replacing Ilias, whose name I cannot pronounce, but how he handles it. It's a tough debut Magic round. It's a massive game for I think he's 19-year-old. And the Tigers will no doubt put the pressure on him. I hate to think what Terrell May's going to try doing to him. He'll probably try ripping his head off. And now that the bunkers allegedly relaxed things, they're going to make it very uncomfortable for him. So it'll largely come down to whether he handles it or whether he poo-poos the bed.
Molly, why did the Roosters let Terrell May go? Do you know?
I still can't answer that question, but okay. I think it was one of the dumbest things they've done in a long time. I mean, he's the form front rower of the comp, isn't he? And he was playing well for the Roosters last year. It's not like the change is suddenly brought out the best in him. And the Roosters are short on firepower. They lost Big Jared over the summer. They lost a heap of players. I cannot understand it, but there's obviously more to it than...
Well, I reckon he's a shoe-in for New South Wales starting front row and also a shoe-in for Dally and Proper Year.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
With Payne Haas. They're the two clear front runners.
True. I thought, okay. Yeah, there's two. Yeah.
I would say that they're both in the Dally M team of the year and I can't see them getting pipped.
As I've sort of alluded to previously, Molly, before you joined us, I sort of said the Tigers just got to be a little bit careful. Brisbane overplayed Payne Haas initially in his career where they knew he could play 80 and it kind of he lost a little bit of impact towards the end of games, and I saw that a little bit on the weekend with Terrell May. I think in Golden Point, or at least at the end of the 80, I think he missed a tackle that he would normally not, and he dropped the ball. And I just thought they've just got to be a little bit careful with him about playing him too much. They probably need to try and get him a rest at some point during the game, even if it's just take him off 5 minutes before halftime, give him the 5 minutes and halftime, and then get him straight back on. But I really feel like he'll produce even more impact than what he's already doing, because I think on the weekend he ran for about 28 times, didn't he? It was 28 and over 200. So if they can get him a rest, and drop maybe his runs to low sort of 20s. He should be pushing 250
Well,
plus.
it's similar to the Tomalolo factor at the Cowboys, isn't it?
Yeah, agree.
And we can look at his career, like at the start of his career, he'd go 80 minutes and have the biggest motor in the game. But as the injuries mounted, as he got older, Todd Payton came in and reduced his minutes and copped a lot of shit up there.
Yep.
And that was one of the reasons they wanted to move him on. But I think it's shown that, he's managing him pretty well.
Yep.
And he's getting the best out of Tomalolo late in his career.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I dead set reckon this game could be like a 38-10 to the Dragons. Like, knowing the Dragons.
Oh, this is what I mean. Like, you can't get they're like the Sharks. You can't get a read on. You dead set cannot get a read on.
And it could be 38-10 to the Tigers as well.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Oh, geez. Who do you pick?
The Dragons, mate. Tip the Dragons.
I'm going Dragons. They're big side Dragons, and I think the Tigers might be troubled by their big boppers.
The style of football that the Tigers play sort of plays into the hands of the Dragons a bit.
Yeah.
It'll just be, like you said, Molly, down to that King Togia. How's he going to, handle the occasion? Because it looks like he's going to grab that spot vacated by Ilias. So, let's see. But, okay, we're all locking in the Dragons. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I know. After last week.
Look, Sunday footy. I tell you what, Bulldogs don't have many players in the forwards.
Mate, did you see the Titans last week?
Yeah, they are a basket case.
They are
who's worse? Who's worse? Knights or the Titans?
Well, the Knights are worse because they can't score, but the Titans can't defend. Honestly, they are a joke. An absolute
What do you think
joke.
the problem is?
I don't know, Mole. Have you got anything for me?
Because they start very well. They've started really well the last couple.
They're the sort of team, the Titans, once a month they'll play sensational football and beat anyone. And it's just picking the game they do it. Last week was obviously not it. They're missing Jaden Campbell. I think he's a superstar. Brimson seems a bit lost. They had Alphonse back on the wing, but he got very few chances. Brian Kelly, who I really rate, had a pretty ordinary game. And Fafita, I mean, I guess he sums up the Titans, doesn't he? If he goes well, the team goes well, but he goes well about once a month.
Well, I think they've got to make some decisions. I really think they've got some big sort of personnel decisions to make this season and at the end of this season. You mentioned AJ Brimson. Is he a 5'8"? I don't know. Is he a centre? They've trialled in there. I don't know. He seems to play his best football when he plays fullback, but you've got Keanu Kinney, who's their number one fullback, and this young fellow that's come on playing at the moment, De Groot, he's almost been their best player the last 3 weeks. So
right.
That's what I mean. Like, I think some personnel decisions have to be made and some really tough decisions. Like, it might be you have to let a really good player leave or move them on to sort of get a better balance for your team, because at the moment they just don't have any balance. They've got makeshift halves, guys that are out of position. If Jaden Campbell's the 7, which I think he could turn into a 7. Don't forget Preston Campbell played 6 at the Panthers.
Yeah. I think he's more of a 6 when Foran comes back. Brimson to fullback. Maybe.
Well, what are you going to do then? Keanu Kinney, when he's fit, like, what are you going to do this to Groot? What are you going to drop him? Like, I don't...
No, I'd have Keanu Kinney at 14.
See, I don't know. Like, I don't know whether you can leave him out of the team. He's almost their best player every week.
Yeah, or Brimson at 14 instead.
So, yeah, I don't know the Titans. I can't tip them. The Bulldogs were... I couldn't believe what I was witnessing last week in the Bulldogs-Broncos game. I just... That first half, I don't even know how to describe it, and I'll have a crack when we get to the Broncos game, but the Bulldogs were very ordinary. They didn't look like the top team in that first half. The second half, they came out more like the Bulldogs, but you would expect them to respond this week. Defensively, they let 42 points in. That is just an unlike a Seraldo coach team. So I think
in dreadful conditions too.
They were shocking conditions. It was hosing down cats and dogs everywhere.
Not score that many points on a bog. I guess
it was sort of like the Broncos came out all guns blazing. Bulldogs missed the mark, then compounded by sin bins. and just capitulated, and Broncos went, "Thanks very much for coming."
Well, yeah, and with that, I expect the Bulldogs. Is Matt Burton? Is he suspended?
Yeah,
So he's gone ski for a week, has he?
yeah, yeah. But the young fella Bailey Hayward will just come in and do a job.
Yeah, so, okay. I'm going to expect the Bulldogs to really bounce back here. I know Titans don't have to travel, only up the M1, so they generally do play well at Suncorp, though, the Titans. The last couple of times they've played the Broncos at Suncorp for an away game, they've put them to the sword. But in light of the Bulldogs' last week's performance, I don't expect to see that performance again from them. I really think that they will win comfortably, very comfortably.
I reckon this could be a nil job. This could be a 30-0 to the Dogs.
I mean, you could be right, mate. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Because their attack, like Titans' attack, I'll sort of go back to a little bit. I think.
Yeah, Titans, their attack is, as Dizz is saying, is just when you've got guys that are out of position and fullbacks playing in the halves, you just don't know. Their attack's going to be clunky, and you can see that in their performances, can't you, Molly?
Yeah, you can. And my view on the Titans, if it was the National Touch Football League, I reckon they're the quickest team from 1 to 13 across the park. And they've got great guys with great skills who can score from anywhere. But it's a National Rugby League, sadly, and they've got to tackle, and tackling's not their strong suit, and sort of earning the right to throw the ball out wide. They tend not to do that either. They want to throw it out wide too early, not make the hard yards up the middle. And, I'll go the Dogs.
So you're going the Dogs. Diz is on the Dogs. I'm on the Dogs. So now we've got Sunday Arvo, 4:00. Panthers, the home team, versus the Broncos. So we've got, I can't believe I'm saying this, we've got Stone Cold Last versus Fifth. I'm going to give my opinion last on this. And I know Diz privately has told me.
Can I just say, we don't have a home ground this year at all. And now we're taking our home game to Suncorp versus the Broncos.
You've won 4 comps. I've got no sympathy for you. Molly, what do you think?
The way the Panthers are going, confidence is rock bottom. They just keep digging themselves deeper into this hole. And the way the Broncos played last week, and Broncos at Suncorp, you very rarely tip against them. I think it could even get ugly.
So I'll add a bit of fuel here. Adam Reynolds is touch and go. Had the non-contact bib on yesterday. Does that change your tip at all, Mole?
It does a little bit. They might win by 20 instead of 40.
I love it. So Jordan Ricky will come back in for the Bronx. Last week it's the best half of football I reckon I've seen the Broncos play in sort of 16 to 18 months. I reckon it was faultless that first half. Disappointing second half. I wanted as a supporter for them to put the Dogs to the sword. They didn't. Credit to the Dogs though, they responded. And again, as you said, Molly, woeful conditions. To put 42 on the team leading the comp in woeful conditions, I thought their attack was outstanding. Cobbo offers clearly something different to the Broncos than what Walsh does. He straightens them up a lot. You're not getting a lot of that creativity in terms of a passing game from Selwyn, but you will get a lot of run meters and a lot of work. So Haas and Carrigan, if they're not the best 2 front rowers, I know you said Terrell May, but their combination isn't the best 2 front rowers in the comp. I'm not here. I've been watching a different game to everyone else because their 1-2 punch is elite. And I've been saying for 2 years, I'd love them to move Xavier Willison to an edge because I think he could become a Viliami Kikau clone. He's got great footwork at the line. He's big. He's agile. And they have, and I really felt for the first time it reaped some rewards. I thought he terrorised Preston End. Who defended on the right-hand side there? It was Sexton. I thought he terrorised them on Thursday night, and he was their go-to. He scored a really soft try where he just ran over the top of Reed Marnie. But, I think I'm concerned about this game because this, for me, isn't... Now, Diz and I are going to this game, and this isn't a 17th versus 5th. I know what Penrith can do, and they've still got some really good players. So I don't know who I'm going to tip yet. And I might reveal that later, I reckon. What do you think here, Diz?
Look, I just want to see Penrith play a decent game of footy. I think that's the most disappointing thing for, all Penrith fans at the moment. They're just not playing good footy. It's as simple as that. And the ladder position speaks for itself. They don't deserve to be any higher. And, know what they're capable of when they do string a performance together or put at least 60 minutes together. But they just have to do it. They haven't come up with any excuses to their credit. Garner comes back in with Sorensen out. I like it. Whether or not Brian To'o comes back in or not is another story.
Sorensen is fighting his charge at the judiciary, so he is.
Okay.
He's got a 2-week. I think they're trying to downgrade that. So whether he still gets the week if he's successful or not, I'm not sure. But he is fighting that. I heard that on the radio this morning. And To'o is I think he might be a game time decision. So you could get him back.
Look, this is very well the game that the Broncos on form, if they get the crowd behind them, which no doubt they will, and they're playing well, this could potentially get a little bit ugly for Penrith. It also could galvanise the side, and Penrith could quite easily win this game. We've seen the form of the Broncos, dip at times. I guess what I would like to see is the Penrith side versus the Roosters versus the Broncos side against the Bulldogs. Who's going to win that performance?
Yeah, so I'm going to sum this up very quickly in if the Broncos are fair dinkum about top 4, the premiership, they've got to put Penrith away here, and they've got to do it not with ease, but they've got to do it, in a way that we sort of sit back next week and we sort of say, geez, how good were the Broncos on the weekend? They really have solidified themselves as a premiership heavyweight this season. And conversely for the Panthers, they just have to win. If they don't win, I think you can almost get your red pen and you can put it halfway through the Panthers' name. They're gone. They are giving up a start, and with State of Origin, and they will have to play games over Origin without Cleary, Yeo, To'o. And I know you put up a poll about whether they should be in. I still think they'll be in for New South Wales.
All of them?
Yes, all of them. I don't know whether they can catch. Well, they definitely can't catch the top 4. So they will be if they get in the finals, they will be 5th to 8th. And then again, as you said, they don't have a home ground. It then becomes very difficult.
Yeah, I agree. It really is make or break time for the Panthers. They've got to show their fans and probably show themselves that they can get a big scalp. And this would be the perfect one. This could turn their season around, or it could dig that hole that little bit deeper. Massive game.
Lock in the Broncos.
Yep, Broncos, mate.
Watch out for our socials, and then you'll see my tip. I'm not going to reveal it just yet.
Please.
Is that allowed?
Yeah. No, it's not, but I'm just making an exception.
Storm versus Raiders, final game of Magic Round. What a cracker. Who would have thought this would be one of the games of the round?
Yeah.
Second versus third.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I'm straight up going Raiders. Straight up.
Yeah, wow. Yep, just straight into it.
Straight into it, because if we look back over the years, the Raiders do trouble the Storm. They've been one of the only teams to be able to go to Melbourne and actually get a result. So the physicality really worries Melbourne. I don't think Melbourne, without Nelson and without some big dominant front rowers, Melbourne don't respond to the physicality as well now as what they
Hudson
did.
Young versus Eli Katoa is going to be an absolute cracker.
Jamal Fogarty versus Jerome Hughes. Fogarty to me is probably almost top 2 halfback in the comp at the moment in terms of form. Dead set, he is. If Daly Cherry Evans decides to hang up the boots, I would not be concerned if Jamal Fogarty plays for Queensland this Origin series. His kicking game is elite.
His kicking game is probably the best of any halfback at the moment. He's just blitzing it, and That's a big head start. For me, the telling factor in this game is no Harry Grant.
Yeah, I agree.
The Storm really struggle without Harry. They put Bronson Garlick in there. He's a makeshift hooker. They've tried a couple of other guys, and it just doesn't work. He's just so good, Harry. He's so far ahead of the rest that when he's missing, they really struggle. And I'm going Raiders as a result as well.
And although, sorry, Diz, but although Melbourne have put some teams to the sword this year, I haven't sort of sat back and gone, geez, the Melbourne are way out in front. The Storm are, are the team to beat. I haven't been over. I think it's more been the teams that they've played on that day have been very poor as opposed to the Storm, being scintillating. So I haven't. Oh, it's hard for me to say I haven't been impressed. They are second, but I do think there's plenty of value in the Raiders at $2.60. I'll give you the tip. They are just going about their business. Again,
well, they've given away a 16-0 head start to the Titans, come over the top of them. Gave away a 28-10 head start to the Dolphins, come over the top of them.
Thing is, though, they won't be able to do that against the Storm.
No, the Storm aren't
great.
great.
Storm get that far in front, they'll put you away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it's close at halftime, and I heard Ricky Stewart come out and say this, that they believe they're the fittest side in the comp.
Yep.
So,
well, it's showing, isn't it? At the moment, they're flying under the radar. Well, you can't say they're under the radar anymore. They're third.
If that game on the weekend went for another 10, 15 minutes, it could have been 70.
Yeah.
Like dead set, they were flying at the end there against the Dolphins.
Yeah, so I mean, it's this one I think's an easy tip for me. I'm going to go the Raiders. A little bit of an upset, but I'm pretty confident in this.
Best tip of the round. Lock it in. Raiders.
Who you got, Mole?
Yep, Raiders all the way.
And for the fans that didn't know, I am going to tip the Panthers.
Oh, jeez. How good. How good. Roles reversed. Well, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Magic Round, how exciting. Can't wait to be there, part of the atmosphere. If any fans are out there, come up, say hello. Don't be shy. Get a pic. We'll be there. Beers on us. And enjoy the weekend.
Enjoy, guys.
Thanks, guys.